What's going on, everybody? C4 here, and today I'm bringing you guys a little bit of a primer video as we get ready for the Madden 19 season. And what we're going to do is we're going to break down the top 5 teams that you're going to want to look at rebuilding in Madden 19. Now, we're going to, base a lot of this off and showcase my fire custom Madden 19 rosters to give you guys some roster previews. But ultimately, I personally do feel that through all of your guys' input throughout those videos, those rosters will be fairly accurate to give you an idea of what team strengths and weaknesses are going to be. So what are the top 5 franchises you're going to want to use in Madden 19? Well, let's jump into number 5. And at number 5, we're going with the Green Bay Packers. Now, you may have found yourself thinking, this is a little confusing, C4. The Packers are very good with a healthy Aaron Rodgers. They're a team that's already in the playoff hunt. Yes, but if you think long-term, Rodgers is 33. As well, under the assumption that most quarterbacks retire by 38. If you want to do any rebuild that is worth a damn, you're going to be going like 5, hopefully with the quality of life improvements that we're going to find in franchise mode. You're going to want to go like 10 years. 10 years in a rebuild. And Aaron Rodgers is going to be gone. He's going to be gone sooner than later. And you want to go with, a Kaiser Hunley, see if they can take over. So, it is long-term thinking for those of you guys that are going to be looking for franchises that you want to commit to. Finding Aaron Rodgers' replacement is going to be big. But ultimately, there still is some holes. They have some young running backs here, but there still is no clear start at running back. There's no more Jordy Nelson. Brand new faces here at wide receiver. You're going to have probably a very overpowered wide receiver here in Equinemius St. Brown, who's going to be a height, weight, speed, overpowered guy that you may be able to develop into a monster. You have Jimmy Graham. You have some key weaknesses on the offensive line. Your franchise tackle's locked up. But other than that, man, you got to build that O-line. Defense is not the greatest outside of really Kenny Clark and Blake Martinez. For the front 7 is nothing to really write home about. I mean, Nick Perry's all right. Secondary super young. You're going to have Jair Alexander, Josh Jackson, Kevin King to try to build that stable up, as well as Clinton Dix on the right side of 30. Same goes with Josh Jones. So it's a young secondary that you can build, that you can develop. So there's plenty of weaknesses, at least in Madden terms of the Packers. But the reason why ultimately they're coming in at number 5 is you're going to have 2 first-round picks. In the very first draft that you have, you're going to have the Packers pick, and then you're going to have the Saints pick. The pick the Saints gave up to trade for Marcus Davenport in last year's draft class. So that means the Green Bay Packers are going to have 2 first-rounders, so that helps you out there as well. So that is why they're coming in at number 5. Coming in at number 4 is going to be the Cleveland Browns. Now, I know the Browns, especially on YouTube, have been the go-to rebuild team, the money team, the team that draws in the viewers. They're going to be pretty overpowered when it comes to just Madden rosters next year, because you're going to have Baker Mayfield, so you're going to have a young franchise quarterback locked up. There's, that's usually the big thing for a rebuild is the quarterback spot, sorting out. And you would assume Baker Mayfield is going to be overpowered next year in the Madden game. You're going to have a good running back attack with Duke Johnson and Nick Chubb. You have some decent wide receivers in Jarvis Landry. You have Josh Gordon trying to turn that career around. You have Corey Coleman. You have Antonio Callaway, who's going to be a very underrated OP wide receiver, I would guess. You have your potential franchise tight end here in Njoku, who we've seen in Madden 18 Sims, go up into the 90s overall. Offensive line is not the strongest, but that's pretty easy to build through the draft. You have Myles Garrett, a superstar on the defensive side. Young, good defensive tackles. Young, solid players here in the front 7. All those guys on the right side of 30. Same goes with the secondary. EJ Gaines, 25. You're going to have Brian Boddicker, who will probably be in the 80s, under 25. Denzel Ward, selected at pick number 4. I mean, the more and more you think about it, look, all these guys are young, and they're going to have very overpowered readies. Yes, it's still the Browns. Yes, from like a mindset, you want to make the Browns good again, which is why they're making the list. But in terms of like team building, teams that are actually going to require, rebuilding, like actual rebuilding, the Browns aren't really that, but, you still got to throw the Browns on the list because they're the Browns, and Madden's probably the only way they're going to see a lot of instant success, and it's going to be a popular team with Myles Garrett, with Josh Gordon, and now Baker Mayfield. Coming in at number 3 is going to be the Baltimore Ravens. Now, when you look at the Baltimore Ravens, the reason why they pretty much come in at number 3 is the drastic change on the offensive side of the ball, because you're going to be able to free up a lot of cap space. There will be some dead cap, but transitioning from Joe Flacco into Lamar Jackson, where, unless things are drastically different in the Madden 19 game, Lamar Jackson is going to be very overpowered. So you already have an overpowered quarterback that's not probably going to start off with the strongest base rating. I think him, and you can probably look at Josh Allen up in Buffalo. They're not going to have, I would say, like, they might be 75, around 75, could even be below that. They're not going to get the same grades that a Rosen Mayfield or Darnold's going to get. So you're not instantly starting with your franchise quarterback. A little work's going to need to be done with Lamar Jackson, but he is going to be overpowered. You're going to have a decent budget once the Flacco money wears off to build up the rest of your team. You have a nice young running back there in Alex Collins. You have a aging wide receiver core, so that's definitely an area that you want to try to get better at. You can try to resurrect Rashad Perriman's great. He's always overpowered in Madden. Good size, good speed. Again, you got Hayden Hurst, you got Mark Andrews at tight end, some new faces, some exciting young playmakers. You have a franchise left tackle there in Ronnie Stanley, Yonda offensive line. Defense is usually pretty strong. A couple decent guys headlined by C.J. Mosley. You're going to probably have to find a replacement for T. Sizzle. Secondary is decent. Corners, though, are aging a little bit. So, again, a little bit of a transition. But you have Humphrey. You have Tavon Young. So, I mean, ultimately, I think that they're not going to be the hardest team because there are some pieces in place. But more so, it's going to be changing the offense and changing the culture to be Lamar Jackson. And finding a way to play with Lamar Jackson is always going to be a popular choice come Madden 19. And the Ravens are a solid team to look at rebuilding, which is why they're coming. Number 2 is a tie, so we're going to go for the two teams that say they're from New York but are actually from New Jersey for the split. First up is the Giants, and the reason why I didn't want to have the Giants outright at number 2 is because they still have a strong roster, but it just comes down to a team with lots of uncertainty at the quarterback spot with some potential prospects. So Eli Manning's not going to be the answer, but will Davis Webb or Kyle Letta be the answer, or do you need to still go out and find your franchise quarterback? The reason why there's so much mystery behind this is because no one really knows who's going to be the guy, which makes them a very interesting team to look at rebuilding, because you do have Saquon Barkley, who's going to be a popular player that a lot of people want to play with. You have Odell Beckham. Also, he'll be in a contract year, so you'll have immediately a big decision to make. Will you, if hopefully they fine-tune the free agent system, you might not be able to retain him. That could be a challenge within itself of trying to negotiate with Odell. You have Sterling Shepard, so you have those types of weapons there. You got Evan Ingram, who'll be an overpowered tight end. Offensive line still a work in progress, but you do have Nate Solder and Will Hernandez on the left side. Defensively, you're switching. You're going from a 4-3 to a 3-4, so there's always that transition. So you pretty much could have your own stamp on how you want to build this defense. You have some playmakers. You have Olivier Vernon, who probably will be playing outside linebacker in this scheme. You get a young guy like Lorenzo Carter. If you're a user linebacker, he'll be very overpowered because he's the height, weight, speed from the DN spot. You still have some playmakers in the secondary, even though they're getting a little bit older in Janoris Jenkins. And you got a young franchise safety here in Landon Collins. But I think the more you look at it, the more that the Giants are a intriguing rebuild team. And I hope to God the biggest thing outside of a quarterback will be the contract negotiations of Odell. But also tied for 2 is the other New York team, the Jets. Clearly, you're going to talk about the Jets. I just didn't really want this list to be, all the teams that drafted quarterbacks. But, you have to see what happens here with Sam Darnold. Will he be the guy? Will he not be the guy? Will he be the next Mark Sanchez? Or will it be something that USC players that play the quarterback spot in the NFL have never seen? And that is a lot of success. So you have that. But outside of that, the roster's not particularly strong. The running backs are above average. The wide receivers are above average, but you have the OP Cheese and Robbie Anderson, height, weight, speed. Not much at tight end, not much on the offensive line. Defensively, it's pretty much the Leonard Williams and Jamal Adams show. You do get Avery Williamson, who will bring a nice rating to the middle linebacker spot, as well as Darren Lee, who's a cheesy user because he's really, really quick, pretty much the safety playing there. You got Tremaine Johnson help out in the secondary a little bit. But a nice young safety tandem. But in terms of putting your own stamp and building a team, there's not really one as big as the Jets. There's only one team that I thought kind of could surpass that. And there's a reason why they will be coming in at number 1. But before we jump into number 1, though, I'm going to kind of go through some other teams that are worth talking about when you're looking at franchises here. I'm going to start first with the Bears. Bears are a sleeper team for me. That they have some young key players. They have new faces that they add in. You get to try to see if you can build Trubisky. You got new faces, like I said, Allen Robinson, Taylor Gabriel, and Anthony Miller, as well as Trey Burton. So from an offensive standpoint, definitely going to be interested to see if you can get an illustrious franchise like the Bears back to being where they need to be. Bengals are another one because everything hinges on Andy Dalton. Is he going to be the guy you want to lead your franchise? Or do you want to try to get another quarterback in there to help out with A.J. Green before he retires and with a young, promising playmaker in John Ross? The Bills, obviously, with Josh Allen, and you got, aging LaShawn McCoy. There's some questions that you have to see there. The Colts could be one. If you really want to throw a wrench into things, retire Andrew Luck. Try to fix the team from that standpoint. We kind of did it in a video with Nick Foles. I think you may want to look at the 49ers, another team that's very, very popular, kind of been off a down slump, but a lot of people are hyping them up. So you can try to see if you can make your own Jimmy Garoppolo era just take over, You have the Raiders, the John Gruden era, lots of transition there. You can put your own kind of stamp on the team. The Redskins have lots of areas that you can look at trying to rebuild. I mean, Alex Smith is going to have an ugly contract, So from that standpoint, I'm not going to put you guys in a hole and recommend them on the list, but they are a team that does have their own weaknesses. The Seattle Seahawks trying to rebuilding the Legion of Boom. They're going to be a drastically different secondary. And you have this guy on your team named Shaquem Griffin. So there's, a playmaker. If you're a user OP god at middle linebacker like Paracrow, he could be a guy that you immediately want to try to play with right away in your franchises. But those are the honorable mentions. There's only one true #1 team to rebuild, and they're going to be the Miami Dolphins. It was gotta be no other team. So the quarterback spot is shaky at best. Ultimately, you're probably gonna want to try to find your next franchise guy. He's not on this roster. If you do like punishment, though, Tannehill, for his faults and his shortcomings in real life, he is usually kind of low-key overpowered in Madden because he does have good mobility. But, he is a wide receiver that transitioned the quarterback spot, and he kind of plays like it at times. At the running back, you got Frank Gore at 34 as your start. You have a nice, interesting young option in Kenyon Drake here, but still your assumed starter is 34. Not a long-term solution. You look at wide receiver, you got some overpowered guys here, Stills and Parker. Both are kind of good speed threats. You could probably overpower some just streaks with them if you want. You got a decent slot guy, but ultimately you got low-key Jakeem Grant. But when you look at it, though, there's no, legitimate franchise wide receiver. Tight end, you got Mike Gesicki, who destroyed the combine. He's going to be a very overpowered rookie tight end with, height, weight, speed. Offensive line is solid, but the best guy in the O-line is going to be 32 years old. So, again, you're going to have to build that up. Lots of just team building. That's the reason why they're #1. You want to try to put your own stamp on things. Defensive ends, Cam Wake's probably the best player on the team. He's going to be 35, 36. Willie Hayes, 32. So old. You have Robert Quinn, who'll be 28, trying to resurrect his career from the spot. You got first-round draft pick from a year ago, Charles Harris here. So some interesting options on the defensive line. Trying to replace the Ndamukong Suh. You're going to have decent salary cap. This is going to be from that standpoint. If you really are a guy that likes to build through free agency, you're going to have that option with the Miami Dolphins. You also are going to get a guy in Davin Gocho who's going to be young that you can develop into something special. Linebacking core is all right. You got Raekwon McMillan coming off an injury. He'll probably be pretty OP for a user because he's really athletic. You got Jerome Baker, Kiko's there. Jerome Baker, another guy, really undersized, kind of a Ryan Shazier mold. Secondary is young, but you don't really have a sure option. You have Xavier Howard here. You have Bobby McCain, who's a really good slot corner. In the nickel, you got Tony Lip. Like I said, there's youth, but no proven guys. So again, that's maybe where you want to allocate your free agency spending. In the secondary, you're going to have Minkah Fitzpatrick, who will have a properly spelled last name because we'll give them the available characters to properly spell it. But you have a young franchise guy back there in the secondary. Pair with a veteran in Rashad Jones, who's really strong in this sim, can usually get a lot of turnovers. So ultimately, for me, the team that has the most that you have to work against, but also has a decent cap situation, is gonna be the Miami Dolphins, and that is why they're my #1 rebuild team. So of all the teams on the list, you agree or disagree? Did I leave one out that you think they should? Are you a Dolphins fan? You think your team's a lot better than I give you credit for? Let me know in the comment section below. As always, guys, if it's your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. Madden 19 season is going to be absolutely fire here on the channel, and I'm going to want all you guys to stick around and stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching, and until next time, it's C4 saying peace out.